Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 298, Fast 10, Second Gear. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode's brought to you by Roman Akomeone Brazov. Roman is a truck and bus manufacturer from Brazov, Romania, and it was established after World War II on the foundation of the old Romlock Automotive Factory. Shout out to Roman.
Oh boy, shout out to Roman and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever with us tonight. So actually, since we last recorded our nearly 3-hour episode of Fast 10,
yes,
we've released our episode of Road to Paloma, so that's out there now. We also did a 2-hour episode out now with Aaron and Abe. Abe not there, but Aaron was there, and also a friend of the show, Mark Hoffmeyer, was there as well.
Yes.
So that's very fun. So this is now, we're recording on Monday. It's been 4 days since we've seen the movie. We've already talked about this movie for at least 5 hours, and we're on the verge of another probably 2 hours because we have so many emails. We got a guest with lots of thoughts. So just strap in, buckle up,
strap
fast
on.
10 those. Nope. Joe, we have new listeners. Be a grown up. Be nice. Be a grown up.
I will pretend for today. Okay.
Fast 10 those seatbelts, because with us tonight we have the first full lap participant, the first full lap completioner, as is tradition, here to talk about the movie when it comes out. We have the resident historian, Mike Manzi. Hello, Mike.
Los Bandoleros for life, y'all. Hello.
Bandolero.
So good to be back. So excited.
Mike, you saw it with us. You were there in person, in the flesh. You joined the family watch party of Fast 10.
Did you
Thoughts?
open your cards?
Oh,
Off the rip. Did you open your cards, and what did you get?
Still have not opened the cards.
You want to open them right now?
them.
Let's actually open them.
I gotta grab them.
Go grab them. Go grab them.
He might have some good ones that we don't even have here.
He's not going to have duplicates.
Why not? Oh, he's not going to have duplicates of his own set, is what you're saying. Okay.
Correct.
I forget what you and I had. Mine are at my house. I'm not currently at my house, recording from a remote location where Dom only knows of where it is.
Got him.
All right, Mike. So we're going to open those after our conversation, before the emails. I think that's a nice little tradition we can do.
Very cool.
We'll see. Maybe Heather hasn't. I don't know, because next week we're going to have Heather Antos on.
Remember,
she opened hers
in the theater.
Oh, right. She opened hers
them
before the movie. Yeah. Anyway, Mike, welcome to the show. First thoughts, best thoughts. What did you think of Fast 10?
Well, first I got to say that I loved upholding the tradition. I think this is 3 times now, Fast 9, Hobbs and Shaw, and Fast 10, that we all gathered as the family to go see these movies together. So
it's one of the best parts. I agree, Mike.
Yeah, that was just like alone in and of itself so much fun. The energy in the theater was like electric at times. Everybody was so into it. I feel like we had a really great crowd. I was like losing my mind the entire time, the entire movie. You know, it just feels like it starts kind of shot out of a cannon and then it just never really stops for the whole thing. And I was really excited on how it ended. I was really excited with a lot of the kind of fate of the impending fates of our family at this time. Ooh. And like, I loved the energy of Momoa. I loved how this is kind of Fast 5 Part 2. I love like so much about it. So I'm just still kind of like gathering my thoughts. It's just like a great, fun summer blockbuster type movie. Also, it just has such like fun energy to it. There's no like cruelty involved really. It's just like almost like a live action anime or something like that. Just tons of fun.
I want to say before we get into the actual episode, there will be spoilers. So if for some reason you're listening to a Fast 10 episode and you want to be spoiler free, don't listen to this. We're going to spoil things. Although by the time this is out, it's been out for a week. I don't know, maybe, who knows? I also feel like if you're listening to the show, you've probably seen it already, but maybe you haven't. I don't know. But anyway, spoilers will be abound. So Mike, favorite part. Yes. You mentioned a lot of ththings that if there's one thing about this movie that you liked more than the rest, things that stood out to you, what was walking away? And then and then a second part, unrelated. Maybe it's the same answer, but we headed into the movie with you saying the episode art for this episode is Roman.
Yes.
episode we do about Fast 10 with a guest, we are going to have a different character poster, and you said Roman is your favorite character. So I'd like to
Yes.
know, number one, your favorite moment in the movie,
Okay.
and number two, or favorite thing or whatever, favorite element of the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And number two, what you thought of Roman if your favorite thing was not Roman.
This is so hard to say. Like, there's so many great action set pieces, and like I couldn't believe moments in it. So I don't know if I've only seen it the one time, so I don't know if I can like pick a favorite one of those. So I'll talk about some of my favorite moments.
Highlight reel.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me get Roman out of the way first. So happy with what they did with Roman this time around. You know, like he is my favorite character. I don't exactly know what it is. It's the charisma of Tyrese, maybe, in the way that he just like embodies that character. But I love what they did with him, you know, since we're spoiling like when they lose all their money, and he like I guess has always worn like a bodysuit of money. Like I've heard of a money belt, but like this guy is wearing like a vest under all of his clothes, strapped up like he's going through airport security, you know, trying not to declare his winnings from Vegas or something. Like that was hilarious. Just the idea that like, yeah, bro, like unzip, like I got you covered. You know, I'm not that dumb to leave all my money in one place. I travel with it. That was really cool. I feel like his character showed some more growth throughout it. Like he was, you know, not as much of a cheapskate by the end of it, and like the whole kind of like team leader thing was really cool. Like it
I
kind
was
of
going to ask how you felt about that. You liked the leadership aspect of Roman?
well, it kind of threw me off in the beginning to be like, oh, we're going on this mission, and I propped it up myself, and like Dom's kind of not involved around, and like the crew is going out to do its stuff. It kind of threw me off at first, but by the end, I was like, oh no, I liked it. I think it paid off. Actually, it was a good kind of side quest for those guys, while Dom was sort of dealing with like the A story mostly.
I liked it. I liked it too. And when we were talking about it, I said that I feel like it took pressure off of the character of Roman to have to be just comic relief. And I think it makes
Yeah.
it actually work better, and it's like a little bit more rounded. And I was enjoying
Yeah.
it.
I wonder if they're trying to set up some kind of spin-off potential with like Roman in that part of the crew, like the techs, like the high tech part of the team
Yep.
that they split off, you know, to show that they could at least, you know, do one movie, you know, by themselves. But like, yeah, it just also goes to show that like you could kind of write these characters where you need them, and it still kind of feels natural because the world is so insane at all times that it's like Roman just needed to step up. He stepped up. He did things his way, but he got it done. And it might not have been the cleanest thing, but even Tej at the end, like, you know, showed him the respect. I loved how they hugged it out, and they were bros and all that. Like, that's really cool. So like, I was really happy with the direction they were taking Roman this time.
Do you think that I guess a two-part question. One might not be easy to answer. If they did do a spin-off of like Roman, Tej, Ramsey, and maybe Han,
Right.
By the
do you
way,
think
from
that-
this rip, just to sideline Joey for a little bit, I'm assuming that if you're pitching spin-offs, Mike, you do not subscribe to the camp that everybody died in the plane at the end.
I know we're taking like turns here away from the main street, but Brian, you know, Brian Rodriguez, long time, you know, involvement with this show. I don't know.
not
Yes.
familiar with him, but yeah, I guess go on.
So like before we get into theater, he literally said to me as a joke, he goes, "What if like they snapped everybody away at the end of this movie?" And like, you know, he didn't mean like for Thanos to show up and snap his fingers, but he meant like, what if they do a thing with like, you know, Endgame with this, where it's like they end the movie on this cliffhanger and everyone might be dead. I was like, there's no fucking way. There's no way they would put all their cards in a basket like that. And lo and behold, like that is basically what they did. Basically, the end of this movie is everyone might be dead.
But you don't
So,
subscribe to that, right?
I can't because there's another one coming. I mean, it's just like the Avengers thing, but I felt like it was very clever, and I felt like the franchise was. I felt like they almost did it better than Avengers. I mean, they saw how Avengers did it, right? So
Right.
there's sort of like a kind of groundwork laid already. But I almost feel like it worked better for these characters and in the way that they did it because everybody might die. Like not, it's not like two or three of them are going to be left to like pick up the pieces and time travel back and save everybody. Literally, like everybody might die. So I'm really excited to see how they're going to write themselves out of this movie.
Do you think if they did do a spin-off, if they survive, assuming that they survive, and they did a spin-off or maybe do a prequel or whatever, like say they do die, they're like, oh, well, there's a prequel with them. Like, do you think that there'd be a good enough story to tell with the four of those? And would people go see it? Like, do you think that they're enough of a draw? Like, Hobbs and Shaw is like a mixed bag for at least fans of this show, listeners to this show, because it doesn't really feel like a Fast and Furious movie, but you have two pretty big action stars.
Right.
Like, as much as we love Ludacris and Tyrese and Natalie Emmanuel and Sung Kang, like, you take away the Fast and the Furious, aside from Ludacris's rap career and Baby Boy and Game of Thrones, like, it just like they, each person has like one thing, right? Like,
Right.
Is there enough star power in that, or is that like a Peacock thing, or like what is it? What would that look like? And do you think it would be good?
So it's hard to say. I mean, personally, I would watch it, right? Because it's part of
Yeah.
the franchise. And I think there's part of your audience right there is they're going to check it out no matter what because it's, connected. I think at this point where we are doing stuff like, yeah, I totally think that these three or four actors could hold a movie for sure. I think like, it's really weird that like Ludacris and Tyree like haven't been in much, and even Sung Kang like they haven't been in much else. And I know that Ramsey comes from television or whatever, but like you take the four of them and you throw Charlize in there, or you get another high caliber villain or something like that for them to go against. I think it'll balance off well.
This is absolutely the ticket, Mike, and I agree with you. And I think that what you need to also factor in, Joey, is that there's a whole sea of other actors that are also big names that you could start adding into the Fast and the Furious by way of a side movie.
Yeah, but I don't think the issue there is like you don't spin off. It's like, hey, we're doing the Roman and Tej movie, also starring Tom Cruise. It's like, no, that becomes the Tom Cruise Fast and Furious. Like, you can't
I'm not like
outshine
Tom
them.
Cruise, like not like that level. But I'm saying that there's a lot more Charlize, Helen Mirren,
No, but I still think that like they need to be the top line stars. Like someone like a Vanessa Kirby is awesome, but she's not as big of a star, not as big of a name as those two.
I hear
Like
what
she
you're
came from
saying.
British film and
Okay.
TV and stuff like that, and like The Crown. But like you can't be like, here's the Roman and Tej movie you've been waiting for, and here's a bigger name. Like it just
Right. I feel like though you could take someone, and I love this guy, right? And I'd love to see him in the franchise. You take someone like Tom Hardy. I mean, what if even Keanu? They go, like I understand like he'd be the draw, but also kind of not. It's like because he's got a really funny fan base as well as far as his like following, and he's got tiers of fans, right? Like people who like him for various reasons. Some people just see whatever movies he's in, but the real reason I think it'll fit is because we really don't know a lot about these characters' backstory, right? So I would love to know about Roman Pierce, the demolition derby driver who was best friends with Brian growing up. I would love to know how Brian met, maybe not how Brian met Tej, but like Tej's life in Florida and all that connection.
Do you think that these actors could play young versions of them, or they have to recast as like younger actors?
I think more of it in the sense that you get like, yeah, like this reminds me of the time, and you kind of do like flashback and exposition, but modern, but them remembering things and filling in the gaps of the character development that we want.
Yeah, I was even just imagining it coming out in dialogue and exposition and things like that, and like it would be cool to show some flashbacks and things, but what if like there was a mission involved where Roman had to go back to the demolition derby grounds, right, and like assemble a crew of those types of drivers because they are used to crashing into each other all the time, and Tej is like, yeah, let's take your crew and bring them over to my old shop and maybe we could visit Suki again or something like that. Like, I feel like there's a way to elevate these actors through these characters in this, like using this franchise. Like I feel like the franchise can kind of do that. I feel like it did it for Vin Diesel. It kind of took this guy who didn't really fit that many places. He did his like first Fast and Furious movie, then he tried to get the Riddick stuff going and then the children's films going, and now he's back here and he's like, this is my thing. So I feel like it can kind of breed stars in a strange way like that.
I think, that's something we talked about a lot this past lap because we did so many Vin Diesel movies where it's like, Vin, I think, could have been a very interesting dynamic actor. We talked about this a lot toward the end, but like sort of chose to either by choice or by Hollywood's choice pigeonhole himself into a specific thing. And it feels like there's a reason that he wants to keep these going because, like, number one, they're profitable. I think number two, he likes doing them. But like number three, it feels like this is the kind of thing that like all these actors are best able to do, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
if the Fast and Furious, if the core franchise ends, like, what kind of work? Like Roman just, Tyrese shows up in like Morbius playing a straight detective. It's just like,
Yeah.
that's-
Yeah.
That-
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's a great point because, like, look at what Michelle Rodriguez is doing. She's in the Dungeons and Dragons movie, and
Yeah.
she fits perfectly. Like, she's basically playing Letty in that movie, and that's great because she's like embracing her image, and you know what I'm saying? Like, using it to get these roles, and like that movie's badass. Like, I love that movie. So it's too bad Vin Diesel wasn't like involved because I know he loves Dungeons
Well,
and
he
Dragons.
did The Last Witch Hunter. Like every movie he's done has been D&D. It just doesn't have D&D in
Yes,
the title,
it's a
right?
campaign.
Like these are D&D, right? So
But you're so right about like Tyrese showing up in like Morbius, and it's like, what is Jason Statham else really doing aside from action franchise movies too? It's not like he's Dave Bautista trying to branch out and doing Blade Runner and other shit like, complicated stuff like M. Night, trying to like get like, more cerebral and things, and stop punching people. So it would be interesting just to see, I think this movie also, this franchise, the last movie really pumped up John Cena's image a lot too. And this one for me, just a little, like he's basically Peacemaker in this movie, which I fucking love. Like he's playing that exact kind of like level of his character now that he's like reconnected with his brother and sister. But I don't know. I guess just the long answer is yes. Like I think they could find a way for this to work right.
So pivoting from Roman to John Cena to Jacob for a second there, one thing that Joe mentioned in our initial episode was that it seems like Jacob is given as Roman has this like dramatic turn trying to be a leader, it's like, okay, John Cena, you get to be funny now. So him basically playing Peacemaker, how did he stack up compared to the Jacob we saw in 9 for you? And how did he compare to the other most flamboyant, sort of over the top, funnest, craziest character in Momoa?
Okay, so it was really kind of jarring how Jacob just shows up like, hey, I'm the babysitter now. Like this is his children's
Wheelhouse,
movie.
right?
Well,
Yeah.
like I was gonna say, like did he ever make a movie like The Pacifier?
We
or
looked it up.
like-
He did this movie. He did a firefighter movie that came out in 2019, like a
Right.
couple months
I
before.
heard you mentioning that, yeah, on another episode.
But like not really. Like he never had his tooth fairy pacifier
Yes,
phase.
yeah.
He kind of went from
Yeah.
he went from wrestling to like early no name straight to DVD Vin Diesel The Rock movies into like huge action star.
Yeah.
Like he didn't really like pivot into Disney whatever.
Yeah, he kind of found his niche much more quickly, and it's too bad because I think he's amazing in this kind of buddy kid comedy. Like this is like, didn't Burt Reynolds have a kid Cop and a Half? Like he should have remade Cop and a Half. It's totally jarring because the turn was so quick at the end of the last movie where it's just like, I'm sorry and we're brothers again and here's what really happened and everything, and it's like, okay, I expected him to be a little grumpier at least. Like it's really strange how he is just so like peppy and all this kind of thing. I thought he'd be a little more strict with his nephew throughout the movie, so he feels a little off model in this. But having said that, it's such a welcome kind of like respite from the rest of the stuff that's going on because it's so kind of cacophonous and bombastic at times that like we cut to them on their little vacation trip and it's like pretty much hilarious the entire like every minute of it. And then when they like get into that like mini thing and the mini plane and the airplane and all and the little bee being like, I've got problems with airplanes, and we know because like a couple movies ago he was rescued from an airplane as a baby. Like
Oh, I didn't
loved-
even think about that. Good point, Mike. I didn't even put together that his airplane fear comes from
That
being
we've
rescued
seen
by.
his airplane fear. Yeah. it's crazy.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
So now here's the question: do you think Jacob is dead?
I do. It was a total ultimate sacrifice moment.
Hmm.
I feel like it was unmistakable. Like he puts his, it's like it's Mad Max, Witness Me, Valhalla, like all that kind of shit, right? Like he did that Nux kind of like, I'm going for it. He turns the wheel, he takes his hands off of it, he closes his eyes, and we see there's no way Mr. Nobody can use holograms or whatever he did with Han to project him into the crash. Or that's what I think he did. He used holograms. He's
Oh,
dead. He's dead, and I think it works because we've seen everything. I feel like John Cena wants to give to this franchise. We've seen evil Jacob. We've seen the whole backstory. We got the catharsis with the family, and now he's out with a bang. I feel like it works.
Was it Joe? Were we talking to Wes or was it Alex messaging me? And someone who listens to the show, and I don't remember who it is. And I'm sorry, I'm not taking credit for this. I just don't remember who to give credit to. But they were saying that like in that conversation, Mike, that you just mentioned, that Baby B is like, I have a thing about flying, right? And John Cena's like, I have a thing about driving because the way that my dad died in the explosion, I was scared of cars for a while.
Yeah.
Like, what better way to combat that than to channel his inner Kurt Russell and death proof his car and make it explosion proof?
mmm.
I didn't even consider that because what I was thinking was like that meant that like he was ready to die in a fiery crash like his dad. Like he was okay if that's how he had to go out, and that's why he was willing to do ultimate sacrifice. That's why I felt like, but that is, you know what, Joey, you might be right for. Okay, here's two things I'm thinking right now. One, we saw that he's got like the shitty car, right? That he's had from high school with the tape
Mm-hmm.
deck, but we see that he's tricked it out. He's got the trunk and
Yeah.
everything. It's all high tech and it's just a cover. It's like a
Yeah.
mirage car. So there is a chance that like by putting his arms out, he like tapped the airbag buttons and got encased in some kind of like techno foam and like got bounced to safety or something that we couldn't see it because we cut away too quickly. I like that, and it also kind of would foreshadow the rest of the team's supposed demise, and be like, oh, like we could leave the theater thinking there's no way those guys could all die too, and if they're probably not dead, maybe Jacob's not dead, and maybe he'll show up at the end to save Dom. At the beginning of the next movie or whatever. My timeline's a little confusing, but
Because I don't remember who it was, and I apologize. And so whoever's out there is probably shouting like, it was me, it was me. It might have been somebody on Twitter too. It might not have even been Alex or Wes. I don't remember. So I'm sorry to whoever that was. It's not my idea. But because, if you're building a cannon car, like, wouldn't you kind of fireproof it in case things break bad, right? Like,
Yeah, you blow up the cannon next to yourself, and you're like, "Whoops."
dude, that cannon car was amazing. We're one step closer to a Mask series, the MASK like cartoon that I think has
Yes,
been brought up a few times on the show.
by you.
Also,
Yes.
but I think that was one of the two times I might have leaned over to Brian and said like, I think it's going to transform into something. Like so there could have been a lot more going on than we saw there. I mean, that is part of the soap opera style of what we're going for here. So I wouldn't be angry. I'd be happy to see more Jacob. Don't get me wrong, but like I'd also be kind of cool if he went out sacrificing himself for his nephew in front of his brother, kind of thing.
so speaking of big muscly men that have joined the franchise recently, what did you think of Jason Momoa as
Oh
Dante
my
Reyes?
God, Ashante, Dante,
Dante?
like
Dante?
unbelievable. Like there's so many things racing through my mind during the movie. Like how they work him in is just like so genius. I always loved this. I mean, I do the Third Time's a Charm podcast on this network where I look at the part threes, and you guys have been on some of those, and they do this a lot in part threes. And for a movie to do this in part 10 with part five is just like such a fucking mind warp. Like that the writers pick that sort of window to explore and work with and just like blow up the other side of what was happening on part five and show it from the other side, and that like all this other stuff was being set up. Like I love how they retconned him into the story. At first it felt a little clunky because it starts like that, right? We get the start of the movie and it's like 10 years ago, and I'm like, what the fuck? But throughout the movie his character is so like unhinged and entertaining and just kind of like peacocking throughout the entire film that it's just like fun to watch. It's always fun to watch Momoa, but like it's fun to watch him be this flamboyant, bring so much of himself to the character as far as like his wardrobe. Like I follow him on Instagram, so I know like he walks around with like his hair up crazy, where and like coloring his fingernails, and like he's got like such a soft soul, and like he's such a great guy online and stuff. So like to see him play this villain, it's like one of those villains like I couldn't help but like cheer for or love at sometimes, or at least like, can't take my eyes off him. And I liked how sort of by the end of the movie, I like 100% wasn't on his side because they gradually like build up how like dangerous and insane and nasty this guy is, and he plays it
Hmm.
so well, and like you get it in bits. At first you're like, oh, this guy's cool, like he's a badass, like a Joker. But then you see him like macking on the girl at the car race, and like having a drink with the dead bodyguards and stuff with the
Yeah.
and then you hear like he spent time in an insane asylum, and so by the end you're like, I don't like this character anymore, but I love Jason Momoa and what he's doing with it.
Do you think that he is, because we are nearing, in theory, maybe, possibly, we're nearing the end of the franchise. We thought we had one more movie. We might have two more movies. Do you think he is the big bad, or is there still someone? Because like we were wondering for Cypher with 8, and then again with 9, like is she the big villain, or is there somebody who's going to be more? And like he has the like screen presence to do it, but do you think
Hmm.
story wise and every other way, do you think he is the final
No,
enemy that they have to conquer, or is there someone beyond him?
no way. Because I think with this movie, they gave him this movie to be like, he is like the Terminator. He's like the ultimate soldier for whoever the bad guy is. I feel like someone aimed him at Toretto or something, or is like, I can't remember how he's getting I mean, he did steal their money to finance his army, but I feel like he also has like resources, and he has the spy that's working in the nobody system and everything. So I don't know. It's hard to say, but what was the question again? I got kind of
Is he
lost.
the ultimate villain? Like, I mean, there's the instant team up in like what you just said, that like he could be with the agency and that could turn Mr. Nobody even when he returns, along with Tess, Brie
Right.
Larson, and like have them be like, maybe there's other rogue, like weirdly like anti-rogue agents who are still upholding good within this like, turned agency or whatever. But like
Yeah. Well,
Momoa plus agency, maybe like Dante plus agency is enough, or no?
I don't think he has the wherewithal to be the ultimate bad guy. Like, I think it gets to a point where his soldiers are just like, you're too much to follow. Like, he really pushes it. Like, I feel like there's got to be someone above. What about Etion and all those guys? Like, I'm not saying they're involved with him, but like they're not stopping him, or I don't know. I just feel like as bad as he is, he's more of like he's on a vendetta. He's doing his own thing for the most part. But then there's all that like interagency, stuff going on too, like the mole and all that stuff. So it just seems like they're planning something more, and that these two guys, like we saw in the beginning, like his dad brings him into the room and he's like, "Okay, we are starting to set up like the future of things, the long con that we're gonna pull." So I just feel like they're two of many things. I feel like they reached out to the syndicate, the crime syndicate, whatever it is, and there's got to be someone up. I mean, I don't think it's like Braga or anything, but like, I don't know,
Carter
maybe.
Verone's still out there.
Exactly.
DK, DK.
Gotta be back.
You mentioned Etion, not mentioned here. Now we have. We'll get to Hobbs later, but is there anybody that wasn't in this movie that you think could have fit? Like,
Ooh,
it's
yeah.
unclear if Hobbs and Shaw is ever going to cross back over. Was there anybody you were hoping to see that you didn't actually get in this movie?
So aside from, Brian, obviously, right? Like I just figured the
Do you
very
want Brian back?
well, it's not that I want him back, but like at the end of the last one, his car pulled up. So I just thought
Yeah.
at the end, not that like at the end of this one, but maybe at the very beginning when their grandma shows up and stuff, like Brian would show up and pick up, his wife with the kids, and we'd see like a minute of Brian, and he'd be like, "Sorry, I gotta go. I gotta protect the kids."
That would
Be
have been a
like,
nice touch, Mike. I actually really like that play. They're like, we wouldn't have got Brian in the full movie, but because we get no Brian and we see the end of the last one, that kind of feels weird. But if he would have even just pulled up to the barbecue and been like, told you guys, like, It's a busy day. We gotta see, my grandma, whatever, right?
We got lots
Like,
of barbecues to get to.
yeah, we got another barbecue to get to. We'll be back tonight, and then like just takes off type situation. That would have worked, I think.
I feel like Owen Shaw should have showed up at some point, especially when Deckard takes off to protect his mom. I thought for sure we'd get one
He's
scene of him with his brother and sister going like, "We've got to save mom."
now that you said that, he's a key person to be added back in the next one.
Definitely. Yeah, we got to see that whole
Owen's
sort
on
of
the short
thread.
list of characters that comes back now because
Um,
if Deckard's defending his mom, you're 100% right. You get Hattie and like they have to join together to go save
Well, that was
Queenie.
what I said
Yeah.
in
Yep.
the episode that we did last Friday. I was just like, Decker's gonna race to Hattie or race to Queenie, and she's gonna be like, "I'm just having a couple with your sis," and just like it's just the two of them. And it's like that's Hattie's introduction to the main franchise, right? Like
That'd be
you
dope.
can easily do it because he disappears, Mia disappears. We never actually see like where they wind up, where they go, and just like, well, there's a lot. I saw a thing. I don't know if it's worth going into. I'll take a look at the link a little bit later, but like they said that like Louis Leterrier had to approach this like a TV series and not like a movie because there's just too many stories, too many moving parts, and it's like
Yeah.
part of it is like knowing it's gonna be a cliffhanger. Like we don't have to resolve anything, but it would have been nice to know like just one more time checking in on Decker, checking in on Mia, seeing where they are because they're both
Right.
like we're on our way to somewhere, and like we don't ever actually see them go anywhere. So it's like all right.
Yeah, I almost thought that was going to be the post-credit scene or one of them that because we got that with the last one was Jason Statham, so I was like, oh, maybe the next one will be him like with his brother and sister or whatever. But the last thing I thought they really should have done, which would have been clean, easy, and had a lot of impact, especially since this is so connected to Part Five. Don Omar and Tego Leo, like they should have been taken out in this movie to show that you know, all bets are off.
They should have been killed. We should
Yeah,
have killed Leo and Santos.
yes, yeah, because there's such minor, even in the tier of character status in this film, they are so minor when it comes down to it that like, but yet still part of the family and still
And still played,
recognizable.
and they played a key role in Rio.
In five, yeah,
Right,
you're
in
right.
five,
Yeah.
they're very five heavy. So for them to go would have been like, oh shit, like they're dead for real. Like we could do a funeral and everything and like see them like, not violent, not like I don't want to see them on fire running out of the car until they fall over or anything, but like, shot up and like they're definitely dead. They're not coming back. This isn't a hologram.
I don't think funeral needed to be seen, but if they were in the movie and we would have killed off Jacob, them, and then had the plane crash, and like we would have had three pretty definitive deaths, the
Yeah.
plane crash would have hit a little heavier. You'd have been like, they might be dead. You know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
we see just Jacob go, and then you see like the plane crash. You're like, first of all, if any, it might just be Jacob, but like the plane crash, definitely
Well, the
not.
plane also conveniently turns a corner, right? It's just
Right,
like,
right.
oh, it's out of sight. We
Yeah.
saw an explosion. We don't know what it was.
Yeah.
That I feel was more of just kind of like instant shock value of like, oh shit, and then be like, oh no, they're gonna be okay. Like somehow they're gonna be okay. But like I know when they blew up the engine, I was like, get the fuck out of here. Like they're even gonna tease us with their death. Like that's pretty ballsy. And a lot of fun, I feel. And I don't know, maybe like Lucas Black is gonna fly in with with like the Hulk car and save the day at the beginning of the next movie. But like there's plenty of
Ins.
yeah, exactly. And especially by the out of this movie where the ladies end up in the Arctic with that whole thing, I was like I didn't know anything about Gal Gadot coming back.
She what?
Oh my God, dude. I had heard that The Rock might be coming back because of the whole like I think it talked about it after the movie. My theory is that like because he kind of got kicked out of the DCU in
Uh-huh.
a
Yep.
manner of speaking, he's like shit, like I got like this home gym and all these daughters and this big house. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I should go make amends and get back into the last couple of these movies. And I'm glad that he showed back up. I was very happy about that. But like, Giselle was just like a total what the fuck. Like, that was all. I mean, we had wanted that for so long. And
Yep.
That's all. And that's one that I'm not like confused at all to see her after everything that's happened since she supposedly passed away. Like I never
You're
saw her
not
go in.
confused that she's been gone for a decade with no like with no questions
I mean, they
asked.
did the same thing to Han, right? Like Han was dead, and Han came back after almost
But
a
they kept
decade,
putting
right?
him in the movies. They were
Well,
like
she was
they
on
let
missions.
No, but he wasn't in a movie after he died. Like after they reset the timeline, and they
Yeah.
were like, "This is when Tokyo Drift takes place." Like he wasn't in 7 or 8 or Hobbs and you know what I mean? Like it's
No, I feel like there's a way to explain it away because like they talked about how she was on missions with nobody before she even met Dom and like
Han, yeah.
Han was on missions with nobody after he was revived from the dead before he met back up with Don. So like people get busy, and time flies. Like Han had to babysit that girl. What happened to her? Where'd she go?
L.
Like
We
I was
said that too.
expecting her to show up in this movie
She's
because
gone, dude.
I was more like, well, I didn't see her go into like a turbine or a plane engine or any of that. We didn't see her land. Like I thought for sure she'd be back sooner. So, to see her is more believable than to see Han back in my eye, unless we find out it was a hologram.
well, so Vin was giving interviews and saying that they had shot cameos with Gal Gadot in movies that have
That
come
came out
out that we have
today.
not seen. But we talked about on Furious 7 when we did the deleted scenes. There's like a whole story where like Letty's going to the hospital like because she thinks
It's a
or
flashback,
like,
right?
it's like Letty's hurt or like the amnesia thing or whatever. It's a flashback and Giselle is in there, and so there are like two scenes. Like she hasn't. It's not a huge story. It's maybe two scenes like 3 or 4 minutes, and most of it is Letty. Like it's not really Giselle, but like we saw more Giselle that wasn't in the movie. So I don't know if there was more in Fate or 9 or anything, but like I had heard, I did not know any spoilers. I had heard after the screening last Friday that there was a credit scene that people were upset that they had spoiled for them. So I knew that like something was going to come. And I think as we talked about in the preview, like the thing this franchise does is it brings people in. Like whether it's going to be a new character or they bring someone back or whatever, like the way that they get people excited is like, look who's here, either now for the first time or now again. And so we had talked about like, I would love to see Hobbs back. I'd love to see Giselle back, but like, I was expecting something in the credits, whether it was one of them or like a new villain, like a Keanu or something. Like I had no
Ooh,
idea.
Yeah.
But to get one in the movie proper, to get Giselle like showing up at the end, I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah, it was jarring it was like the last shot of the movie, right?
It's
Like,
the last shot, yeah, right before the credits. You just see Giselle roll up on top of the submarine.
because I thought for sure the last shot of the movie was going to be Dom on the dam holding little B with it exploding. And I even leaned over to Brian and I was like, credits. But then there was the extra scene with the girls breaking out of the Arctic prison and walking across the Arctic and complaining about like, where the fuck are we going to get out of here?
Well, so one thing that Alex messaged me, and I was like, please don't let this be true, is he was saying, I don't think he emailed this in, so I think I can bring it up now, was he's like, how do we know that Giselle is good?
We don't know that Cypher's not good. The enemy of my enemy is my friend right now, So like she knows that, what's his fucking name? Dante, which, Dante, the devil and all that kind of invokes all that like anyway, she knows that Dante's super dangerous, and I think she even mentions like whoever he's working for, or like he's not the only one. I think she drops some kind of cryptic shit in the beginning when she shows up at the house the night of the barbecue in a DeLorean, which
Yeah.
set
Right.
my mind off. I was like, what are they gonna do it? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, they're taking plays out of Avenger playbooks already, so who knows what's gonna happen. But we don't know who's good. Letty's been bad before. It's all up in the air. Like the one rumor I heard about this that thankfully didn't turn out to be true, that just kind of meant something else, was that the team was going to be divided. And I thought, oh, they're going to be fighting each other. But no, it just
Ah.
literally meant that like we're splitting the team up into like, little teams.
Four
Factions.
factions.
Pretty much, yeah. Which made me wonder, like, like, did John Cena basically just shot like all of his stuff with the little B actor, who, by the way, I love that kid, and like I was like, that is the luckiest thing to come along for me. I feel like so far is that like they got a really good child actor. He's not like some annoying, like we were all kids, so I feel like I could say this. Like he wasn't some annoying kid with like an irritating voice or anything like that. Like he was easy to watch. Like he was a good actor. He had a really good like kind of scared face. He had a really good like I'm having fun face. I believe that because he's a Toretto, he would jump on the back of his uncle's car and start like kicking the missiles. I believe that he would survive car swapping twice in in like the matter of like minutes. That was incredible. So like I don't know. I enjoyed that as like a new element was having Little B and like wherever they're gonna take that kid and that character. I wonder if they cast him to be like, all right, you're like this character now until you grow up. We're gonna follow you, and hopefully you grow up to like be able to maybe carry this franchise one day. Who
I
knows?
mean, that kid was a baby in 8, and we've now had 3 different actors play him that have been radically different ages. That if you're trying to track when these movies happen, it's one way to do it that doesn't align with anything else. So I have no idea.
And radically different melanin levels.
This kid looks like little Hobbs, not like little Dom, but that's neither here nor there.
Yep.
So speaking of Hobbs, though, what did you think of Lucas Rebecca Hobbs returning into the fold?
So yeah, I'm up for that. That was dope. Like I was kind of like, well, if you're gonna do it, I wish they kind of had him a little more involved. Maybe did it earlier in the movie, but I don't know. Whatever.
You need
As
the
long
big
as he's
reveal.
as long as he's here is my thing. Yeah, and it was such a like you know exactly who this is, but he's wearing the mask just so he could do his like reveal and his some bitch line and all that. Like I'm glad to see him back. It looks like The Rock is ready to embrace this again. I mean, he was sweaty as ever. Um,
Did you read or hear the stories this week, Mike, that came out?
no,
So
not at all.
John Cena was regretting while they were both wrestlers, he was regretting that he was
Oh, I had
beefing with
different
The
ones.
Rock.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
What was the other one?
The one that I read this week was that The Rock was not supposed to come back in 10, but
Ooh,
Leterrier called The Rock himself and said, "Look, this franchise needs you back." He played him an early cut of the movie, and The Rock said, "Okay, son of a bitch, I'm in."
oh,
And then he convinced him to shoot the end credit scene. That's why he's only in one scene, not in the movie. The movie was already done, but he had to sit down, reached out the olive branch, and was like, "We need you. I need you for the next one. Will you come back?" And he unfucked it there. So we don't really even
wow.
know if he's like okay with Vin or not, but just Leterrier had enough like oomph to like bring the Rock back himself.
Yeah, so the quote there, just really quickly, is the peace treaty. I kind of brokered it. We all did. Ultimately, the movie did. Leterrier said. We sort of looked at each other from across the room and winked a few months back, saying we should work together. And then I had this idea, and I presented it to producers and the studio. And we reached out to Dwayne and his team and said, "Just come and watch the movie. You're going to love the movie first. You have to love the movie first." So he came to see the movie and really loved it. Then we started talking. It was very smooth, and frankly, as a fan, I could not conceive continuing the franchise without either Dwayne or Gal Gadot.
Wow, amazing. So, like, two huge things, I think, or at least one, is that that shows that Louis Leterrier is the right man for this job.
Amen. I agree. Yep.
That is like a director who knows what he needs, not what he wants. Okay, everyone can take what they want, but like to get what you need is so much harder to make the movie that you feel you have to. And it just shows that he's got like the fucking fuel to power the rest of this franchise. However,
And that he's
like
a fan. He knows what we know, that like this need, we've said it over and over. There's no way this franchise finishes without The Rock. Like
and
it can't happen. You can't
Yeah,
just be
I've
like
been saying
"Oh,
that for like 2 years now. It's
yeah,
like there's no way because like the other thing I was thinking, I realized is that there's no like narrative you have to jump over where it's like, oh, but like Hobbs and Dom hate each other. It's like they don't.
yes,
They're still on good terms. Like Vin and The Rock don't like each other, but the
right.
characters are still on good terms. It's not like Deckard and like even with Deckard like coming in with 8 and helping them, you know what I mean? It's just like it's like, oh, there's only 3 people that found Dom and like they're in the room now and whatever. Like it's like there's like they have to explain away like why a bad guy is working with them. Like these guys are just like they're basically, if not family, like they have a mutual cause. And especially like the movie cements it in a way where it's like Dom might have killed, he might have killed my dad, or like but you pulled the trigger, right? Like Dom was the
Right.
one, was the mastermind, but like you're the one who actually killed. So like they have the same enemy. He's gonna be coming after both of them. They're going to link up sooner rather than later.
What else is kind of amazing about where these movies are? And again, I just the only other franchise you can kind of quote about this is the Marvel franchise right now because of the scope of them is that, part of the negotiation kind of thing could have also been like, you saw the movie, you've been involved in these movies. You and Vin Diesel might not even meet again in the movies. Like Hobbs and fucking Dominic may never even have to have a scene together. Like you could be off doing your own adventure, meeting other members of the crew, and maybe taking a phone call with Dominic Toretto or something. But like, The Rock can essentially have his own thread in the next movie where like he's off on his own adventure for the most part, or maybe like teams up with John Cena before anyone else knows he's alive, and like he's like, I gotta get Jacob back to Dom or some shit like that. I don't know, or he gets captured and finds out that everyone we thought was dead is actually in some kind of like crazy Jason Momoa prison, like Saw style, and they have to escape from that. I don't know, but like there's so many possibilities to work him back in, if there is just still beef or whatever. But like, it sounds like Leterrier like was the broker, was the fucking man, like did his job to the max in this situation, and that's just like that's awesome.
Do you think he watched it in a conference room on a very small TV like he did Black Adam?
Is that how we watched Black Adam?
He
That
posted a picture.
sucks.
He posted a picture when he was like, "Yeah, just watch Black Adam. It's awesome." And he was sitting like in a computer chair at we're like, that's probably the worst way to watch a movie that you're in. And why would they not have just put you in like some kind of film room?
Dude, no way. If anything, they probably like sent it to his, mansion where he could watch it
No,
off.
no, he
Oh
had the
no.
picture that he was in like a boardroom, and it was just like on the
No, I
like
mean
what would be the
Fast
present.
10. I mean
Oh
Fast
yeah,
10. I feel like they were probably a little more like trying to like, I don't know, like sucker him in. Not sucker him
yeah.
in, but
Come
like
come to Universal, watch it on a real
yeah,
screen, like
pamper
sit
him
in
a
the
little.
theater. Yeah, here's some popcorn. Here, oh, cheat
Bring
day
your
cookie,
kids.
cheat day
Like,
meal, cookie marshmallow Sunday ice cream pizza day.
dude,
Like this kind of
yeah. Cheat
situation.
day. Yeah, exactly.
So there's a few other quotes I want to read from this interview because Hollywood Reporter talking about brokering peace. They ask, what's the key to successful collaboration with Vin? And he says, I think you have to get along. Well, it's not get along. You have to want to talk about the same themes, respect the audience and the crew and the other cast members the way Vin does. No good movie's made in spite of the star or the studio or everything. If we all get along, the shooting is smooth, the experience is smooth, the results are great. If we're all saying the same thing and speaking the same language, the audience will feel it. The movie really resembles what we decided to do together. And they said, is part two going to be the final movie or is it start of the trilogy? He just says, let's see what happens. You
Mm.
don't, you don't work on the next movie. You have high hopes. You should
Okay.
work on give your best one. So I'll give my best to part 11 or B, and we'll see what happens. Then they ask again, how did Dwayne's cameo end up happening? The peace treaty, I kind of brokered it. We all did. Ultimately, the movie did. The franchise was built by actors and characters. The set pieces are wonderful. They keep you entertained and keep you shoving popcorn in your mouth. The characters make the franchise what it is. And then they asked, were you actually on set with Gal Gadot? I only asked because she had to shoot a recent cameo without her director and the scene partners. I was on set with her. I was lucky enough to see her and give her a big hug and a thank you. That was a highlight. I was
Oh,
lucky enough to direct one commercial with her, and I saw the power of her for
Mm,
30 seconds.
I didn't
So
know
now
that.
that I get to not only work with her, but also bring her back into the franchise, I'm the happiest fan in the world.
I think the movie that she didn't get to work with the cast and crew was the Shazam, where like they shot her with a double and then she came in somewhere and just did her Wonder Woman thing. Spoilers, but like she shows up in that. But wow, like yeah, because Gal Gadot is like the one shot in this whole movie where like she could have done that from her backyard, and they just like comp her in with computers. She just like opens a hatch, stands up with binoculars,
She
and
has like a
like
laundry basket that she like put over her head, and she like takes it off, and they're like, okay, yeah, that works. We'll CGI it. It makes
they
sense.
sent her a green screen, and they were like, put this up behind you,
Just
put
a
on your
sheet,
wardrobe.
not a screen, just a sheet, just a neon green sheet.
Rita Moreno showing up at the beginning in her
Hmm.
Joey in her Elvis jumpsuit. That's
Yeah.
all I could keep thinking of. She was wearing like this white jumpsuit with this big Elvis belt of gold, and she looked like an angel or something from like it was incredible, like so glamorous and like I would like to see her and Helen Mirren behind the wheel, being like, Helen Mirren being like, looks like it's up to us.
Oh,
Like the old ones getting behind the wheel again. And
so
Rita Moreno going like, I still got some spice in my whatever. I don't know.
so now that you bring this up, another article, more news. Another article comes out today about that, they've been pitching us the Letty Led spinoff for so long. And did anybody see this today?
No.
Yes. Well, this was Vince saying that, like, yeah, basically we're doing all sorts of stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
And so it comes out and they ask Emrod about it, right? They're like, how do you feel about this? And she was kind of hesitant and kind of like leaned towards like, yes, like, that's a good idea. But she's like, at some point we have to hand off the baton type situation, kind of alluding to the possibility that she's not going to be the main star of that movie.
Well, I think it could be that. It could also be like, I will be the star of the movie, but it's not about me. Like, it's like, hey, I'm the top billed person, but like it's really to showcase like the characters who are going to be like next.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I mean, even like Brie Larson, and then the Isabel character, right? That we find the sister of Dom's, well, Elena, Dom's Elena. Yeah. I mean, that's what I love about this franchise too, is that like, even if they don't end up following some of these threads, I hope they do, but like, even if they don't, it's not gonna be like confusing. It's not like anything is left hanging if they don't do a female-led spin-off. I hope they do. It's not like nothing's left hanging if they didn't do Hobbs and Shaw, right? Like they just concoct these stories, to kind of be like coincide with what's at, the main. You have the main movies, and then like the Star Wars stories or whatever that like happen over
Right.
here. They're not getting in each other's way continuity wise, or anything like that. So that's a really kind of cool thing that they do. So you can really go anywhere with a lot of this stuff.
Well, speaking of the women in this movie, what did you think of Brie Larson as Tess? What did you think of the new look, sort of a different kind of Charlize, one that you and I have seen in a handful of movies when we did Watch the Throne, but one that we had not really seen so far with Cypher in these first two movies? We will do the Watch the Throne episodes about 9 and this movie. We just haven't gotten there yet because we're catching up on other stuff, but those are coming.
Yes, I loved the sort of atomic blonde cipher in this movie, right? Like, fuck yeah, like get out from behind the computer, put down the guns and start fisticuffing again. And she's got the amazing escape fight from her own facility against her own dudes, which was amazing. And she played it super cool. Great elevator escape where she turns the dude around and lands on his body for cushion. Like, that's always a sweet move. And then she has the fight against Letty, which she loses. Like, like how amazing is that? I loved her energy in this. She always kind of reminds me of like a serpent Cypher, Charlize in this movie, almost like the evil queen in Snow White, the way she plays that, just like so smarmy and so confident and everything. I liked her chemistry with Michelle Rodriguez. I thought that was great. And yeah, I think that she, like the movie says, how Dante's like, you get all these people to kind of like turn sides and like join your family, like criminals become good guys, good guys become criminals, like whatever has to happen, like you took Hobbes and you corrupted him, but like then you took like someone else and like you took Deckard Shaw and like you reformed him. Like, what's going on with your family? Like, I think that could happen to Cypher. Like, Cypher seems like secure knowing that they have her back in this movie, and I hope that she switches sides forever by the end of this, and that she's like sharing Coronas at the barbecue.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know that she's really switched sides as much as just like, I know that I need help if I don't want to die here, right?
Currently,
like,
I align with you guys.
Yeah. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, as I keep saying.
But it's like, I know Dom was like, you kidnapped my baby and shot his mom right in the head in front of us, but like, Deckard Shaw, Justice for Han, it's kind of falls now into the same category, Justice for Elena. Like, why are they teaming up with Cypher? Like, it's fine in my mind. Like, where's Cardi B? That's more what I'm wondering.
Yeah, where is Cardi B?
Why is Scott Eastwood here? And is Little Nobody and Brie Larson's character brother and sister?
No, he's not Mr. Nobody's son. They
Okay.
they only called him Little Nobody because like he had a name, and then Roman goes, "No, you're Little Nobody. You're less than nobody. You're Little Nobody." Right?
No,
So
Got
like,
it, got
yeah,
it.
yeah. Kurt Russell goes, he's less than nobody, and then he's like, oh, little nobody.
no. Kurt Russell doesn't talk to him like that. That's
He does.
directly
No.
Roman.
He said him, no one, less than nobody.
Mike, what'd you think of Brie Larson talking about Miss Nobody here?
Yeah, I don't understand what the hell people have like a problem with Brie Larson, the actor, for. Like, she's amazing. Like, she's great. Like, she is badass. Like, she's Captain
People don't like
Marvel.
Brie Larson.
Yeah, no, the Who Weekly talks about this a lot because she exists in this world where she is an unabashed A-list superstar, but is like weird and kind of can't be put in a box, and she like acts strange in ways, and like
Strange in
is-
like real life, like her actual.
like she has a YouTube channel, and
she's
she like
eccentric. She's more eccentric than you might assume because like most actors seem to have like a stick up their ass or something,
Yeah.
or like take themselves ultra seriously, and they're like, "Whoa, she's
Oh, I
like
didn't know this.
she comes across like in a good way. It feels like the way people used to pigeonhole like the Pixie Dream Girl persona or whatever, but it's just like she's eclectic is how it comes across to me, and like good that she's
What
different.
does she talk about on her YouTube channel, Joey?
it started during the pandemic. It was a lot of Nintendo Switch stuff. It was like workout stuff. It's just like she's a vlogger. Like she just like
Okay,
a normal.
she's like a girl that just likes posting videos about shit she cares about.
Well, that's what I think is like that's what I kind of liked is just like just because my job is being an actor doesn't mean I'm not like a person whose job it is to like work at a bank. Like people that work at a bank like to go home and play Switch. I like to go home and play Switch. Like that's how
Yeah.
it comes across to me. I don't know if that's why people don't necessarily like her. I see it more from like the Marvel guys that suck.
Marvel guys don't like her because she's a woman in a
Yeah,
movie.
obviously, yes.
Right. That like Captain Marvel, the character, is even a woman they hate. But like I loved her in this. I thought she has a very commanding presence. She kind of has like this. She can be unassuming, and you could be like, I could kick your ass or whatever, but like you can't kick her ass. Like that's what I like about her. But I also don't think she's unassuming. I think she walks into a room and she's like, everybody, like she even does it in this movie. She's like, attention, everybody. You know, like I have a question for all you tough guys. I thought that was fun. I think she brings a great energy, and I hope that she like shows up way more in the rest of this franchise as a good person too. I don't want her to be a villain.
Well, I think we talked about like we think that there is no way that she doesn't show up with her dad, right? Like that
Yeah.
they roll up together and they save someone. Like they're the ones who most likely are going to save, or he's going to save
The
Dom
plane.
and Baby B or somebody.
Yeah, he said he's pulled off crazier tricks before than saving Han, so this could be one of those tricks. That would be great. I actually texted you guys today in the group chat about this because I just can't stop thinking about it. I should have opened the show with this, but Han's dating app shows that he's 39 years old in like the first half of the movie, and I just couldn't get over that. And I would periodically annoy Brian throughout the movie and go, Han is 39. And we
Like,
both
if you believe
just-
it's too young or too old?
too young. Yeah, I don't think any of them are in their 30s. Maybe Ramsey.
Well, so if you think about Tokyo Drift actually takes place in 2013.
Okay.
And he's hanging out with high schoolers.
And this movie says that Rio was 10 years ago. So it's only really been 8 years since Tokyo Drift.
So he was 31 hanging out with high schoolers in Tokyo Drift by this
In
record.
real life,
Yeah.
he's 51.
Make him 42. Who gives a fuck? Like, are you trying to say that 39 is any younger than 42?
Also
relatively?
I
remember,
mean,
Mike-
Mike, math, yes. The answer is yes. 39 is younger than 42.
No, I know, like it really is, but I mean, like the way, like it's such a nominal difference that like you might as well make him 40 or 41.
I mean, also, people lie in dating profiles.
That's what I was gonna say. He
Okay.
didn't make this. They made it for him. So like, I can definitely see Roman being like, no. We can't say he's at his actual age of 42. We gotta say 39. The girls will like that. And like, this is like
Okay.
logicking it out, but for no
it
reason.
also should have been the most obvious giveaway that Giselle was back, that he's
Yes!
finally moved
Yes.
on. Or not that he's moved on, but he's been convinced to try to move on.
What would have been amazing, well, maybe not, but like, what if he got like he's going through his profile and he gets like a message and like he clicks on it.
It's the
but, like,
egg. It's the blue egg from Twitter or something. Like no profile picture, and it is Giselle. Is that what you're about to say?
Yes, but an extra beat is that like he's gonna look at it and it's like typing. It's got like the buttons and there's like an explosion and he drops his phone and he never gets to see that it was Giselle on his app. But we did, and or maybe I don't know.
We see her. Like it cuts. It would have cut back to her typing, and it'd been like glad to see you again, babe, or
I'm
whatever.
pretty sure, guys. I'm pretty sure we're not going to see Giselle on Tinder in
No.
Fast 11. I'm pretty sure that's
I don't
not
think
gonna
Gal
happen.
Gadot has ever in her life needed a dating profile.
It wasn't so much that, but I'm just picturing the character like hacking away, being like, I wonder if Han is still alive, you know, like maybe, and then like his dating profile comes up and she's like, what? Dating profile? And then it's like, is that you? And that could be like the only message, and we don't know it's her, but like for him to get a message saying, is that you, on his dating app?
Also, I know that Tinder is like the one with the name recognition, but if Han is on a dating app, he's going to be on Raya. Like he's going to be on the
What's
one with
Raya?
celebrities. It's celebrities and like wealthy people. Like he's a
How do
multi-millionaire.
we get on that?
Well,
We got to
you're
be
married.
in movies. You got to get famous and be in
I'm
a
married
movie.
now, but if I'm on fucking Raya with celebrities and rich women, then maybe I won't be.
Okay.
I don't think you. I think you have to get invited to Raya.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Nobody wants me on Raya. I'm neither famous or rich, so it doesn't matter anyways. This is
Or available.
or that. Yeah, that's point one.
So in the same vein, I guess there's one extra thing and then the big thing, but like in the same sort of vein as like the Han 39 thing, that makes more sense that Roman would just be like, nah, you're 39. Like, fuck this. Like, we get you laid.
I'm 32. You're 39.
Yeah, exactly. I'm 29. I mean, I just turned 29. So this has to be one of the fucking best things ever because it's sort of, you can't get around what I'm about to talk about in any way, and it is just like they go for it so hard that I applaud them so much. Okay, there's the moment where Brie Larson's getting briefed on the family and their past, and she's in like the volume surrounded by all these graphics and
Televisions.
shit.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, you know, they started out as street punks, hijacking shit, and worked their way to international espionage and all this shit. And they're showing video footage of the previous movies. Like the
Oh,
footage
yeah.
is the footage from the fucking movie as if it's surveillance footage.
Every single screenshot that Dante or Ames has is just a screen grab from an earlier movie.
Including the pictures in Dom's garage are also just screenshots of movie scenes.
Their wedding photo is a screenshot, I believe, from the short where they
It
get
is.
married. Like, I like that is gorgeous. Like, because what else do you do? Like, it's basically a Rocky IV montage where it's like, here's the entire
what do you do?
history.
I mean, yes, we obviously have a history with Rocky, you and me, and the Hoff Bros, right? Like, there's definitely, but like, so in that same interview with the Hollywood Reporter, they're talking about like how they did the Fast Five alternate takes of whatever, and he's like, well, we had dailies, we had other footage that they shot for Fast Five that they never used, like I was
Yeah.
using that or whatever. But like, you have people on set documenting like on-set photography, like these characters looking like the characters in costume that aren't just screen grabs from movies. Like there have got to be hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures of just like official set photographers paid for by Universal that are just like of these people. Just like, no, this is a shot from down the driveway of Dom and Baby B working on the lawnmower or the tractor, you know, in an area where no one knows they live, except for Dante's men, who apparently photographed it and then like didn't do anything with that information other than send him a picture of it.
It's incredible. It's so incredible. It reminds me of like when the old Universal movies would use stock footage like over and over again and just like, you know, it's efficient. It saves time. It's like, I understand you don't want to refilm every moment throughout the history of the franchise, but like, yeah, like you said, like you could be a little more inconspicuous about like, this isn't just from the DVD. Like,
Right.
I go again. Like, I know I'm a broken record, but and it seems like I was bothering Brian a lot during this movie. I wasn't, but like I leaned over to him. I go, "How did they get that footage?" And he goes, "They bought the DVDs." You know, like he like
They bought them.
Because that's how it seems. It just ripped it right off of him, being like,
You
"Here's what
would,
you
you
need."
know, it honestly kind of makes sense in universe that Mr. Nobody seems like a genuine fan of the family, that like he would acquire any footage and just like watch it like while laughing. And so like, when he goes MIA, they inherit all his footage. They're just like, what is your dad doing?
He just has sizzle reels of all their
Mhm.
like greatest exploits and everything, all the body cams maybe, and all the drones that were there we didn't see at the time and everything. But,
Well, we know that God's Eye can capture, they can find anybody anywhere. They can tap into every camera, right? So like,
dude, maybe it's like that show Deus Ex, was it, where like the guy from Parks and Rec, that actor, damn, I can't remember his name. Nick Offerman, he played like this scientist who built a machine that could like project the past, right? Like they saw into the past.
oh yes,
Remember
Deus,
that?
yeah.
Deus,
Mhm.
yeah.
No, sorry, it's Devs. Deus is actually kind
Devs.
of a spoiler. It's called Devs. Deus is kind of a spoiler, but yes, it's called Devs. No, it's fine. I didn't like that show very much, but so it's fine. But
I
yes.
loved what they were going for, but like if it was like that, like if they had the technology to like look into the past through like some kind of computer machine and
Mhm.
like, with God's Eye, if God's Eye could like rewind everywhere, you needed to see.
Mm.
I don't know, but that was amazing. Okay, so the last thing we haven't talked about is, goodness gracious, Great Ball of Fire. Like that was crazy to just see the giant fireball bomb rolling through the streets of Rome, and like that whole action sequence was just
That was your favorite set piece, Mike?
I don't know if it was my favorite, but like I loved how it went so hard and how long Dom's car lasted and like everything he was able to do trying to maneuver the bomb. And it's just like it's kind of like a good old fashioned set piece where it's like, yeah, we just need to stop this bomb, it's like,
But we're gonna use a car.
right, yeah, we're gonna use a car to stop the bomb somehow. I loved that. I just loved how it was Great Balls of Fire, and I was shocked that Dante didn't start singing a line or two. Maybe they couldn't clear it.
That is, I didn't. As soon as you said it, it clicked, but I didn't think it while I was watching the movie. And yes, if he would have sang "Great Balls of Fire," it would have been excellent. I agree with you, Mike.
Because it's on brand for him, right? Like he would absolutely, both the actor and the character would absolutely do that.
Even drop a "goodness gracious," just like if you'd have been like "goodness gracious," like as it like came down you'd have been like, okay, tip of the cap,
Right.
perfect.
Cut to the Great Ball of Fire rolling through the streets. I don't know what my favorite action sequence was. I loved though when Dom reversed out of the plane. That was just like, what the hell? Like, what kind of tires do these guys have? Someone online wrote like,
Suspensions, What kind of suspensions do these cars have?
someone online was like, when do they stop for gas? Like, gas. I would love to see them hanging out, gassing up at a gas station before a mission, or like that, or like at their personal gas pump or something.
Well, they ripped off that entire tanker of gas in Lo Bandolero.
They've been driving on that one tanker of gas for 9 other movies, Joey.
I don't know, man. Maybe there's a lot of gas in there.
Are some of their cars more like advanced with solar power or like electrical engines?
Well, there
or-
was in Fast and Furious Crossroads, there was that one electric car that you drive for the one race. It's like, well, this is not the cars that you want, but this is the future of the cars or whatever, right? So maybe.
Was it Crossroads or was it the Spy Racers game?
Oh boy, I forgot. I forgot entirely that there was.
I
a
think
Spy
it was-
Racers
I think
game.
it was
might
the
have been the
Spy-
Spy Racers game.
That was just it was just like a really toned down Gran Turismo. Yeah, I don't think it was Crossroads. I think it was the Spy Racers game that you like get that car at the end. It's almost like a key car, and it was like this is like a electric car, and it's like
Well,
the
there was
final
the
one we
there was
want.
the shifter car. I think there was one race in. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But I think there was one race in Crossroads where you drive an electric car, and there's
I
like the
forget.
shifter car in Spy Racers. That's like crazy souped up whatever.
I'm trying to remember what the other big crazy giant action sequences were. There's
the
the
dam,
dam was fun.
Dom on the bridge, ball,
Kayak
and then
out
and
of the
the
plane.
kayak out of the plane.
Dude,
the mini plane.
that again, that was so fun. Just to be like, that just like felt like it would be so much fun to write one of these movies, because you're just like, and then like they go, he's got like that stewardess. He's like, yeah, like, what did he say? I fly the friendly skies. Did he say that, or was he like, I've got people in the sky. He said something about having people everywhere, right? Like Jacob, he's like, I got people everywhere. And the stewardess like slips him the key to go down, and he takes out the guys in the loo, and then like it's just I could imagine just like screenwriting be like, and then they go to the belly of the plane, and he turns the kayak into like some form of flying kayak, and
Like a bat wing that's powered by
yeah,
vodka.
and they kayak in midair, and it was just like so odd. And you know when they get in Jacob's car, like that kayak is gonna pay off somehow, and I couldn't be happier that he
Yes.
turned it into a flying kayak, and that the kid little B is like, yeah, like this is awesome, like has no nerve problems like whatsoever. He's just like, he's just like a storm chaser. He's just like, let's fucking do this.
We're storm chasers. It's what we do.
I just remember Helen Hunt telling Bill Paxton in that movie, oh, I just remember her going like, have you lost your nerve or something like that? And then he like steps on the pedal. He's like, I'll show you. I haven't lost my nerve.
Any other thoughts about this movie? Any guesses for 11?
Dude, I don't even want to, I don't know where I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, it's all just, they could do anything, They could really fill it
Oh,
up with
yeah.
any, I hope Kurt Russell's back. I got to see him back. I want to see the rest of the Shaw fam. I'm looking forward to seeing Hobbs. I hope he brings his Samoan army with him of his brothers. Like, he's got a whole crew that could come to bat with him.
Samoa.
Yeah, I don't know, man. If it's the last hurrah, I just hope we see everyone. I want to see the bring the crew back from. Well, you don't have to bring Pete Davidson back, but bring the crew back from part 3 again. Like, bring everybody back. Get Suki back in
I
there.
think we're gonna need the end game thing. I think you're right, Mike. The more that I think about it, all roads lead home. But all roads lead to like everybody has to show up at the end for whatever the fight. It's just like you see them just coming in, and you get like every car from every movie with like Suki's still driving her car, and like everybody has their own car, and like it's instantly recognizable, and like you're like, oh shit, we're all coming together to do this at the end.
I hope so. I hope so. The one thing I hope they don't do, which I could see them doing, because it would be Vin Diesel's sort of like Christ moment in a lot of ways, is that like they kill off Dom at the end in a very
Yep.
Iron Man type way, right? Where like you think the bad guy's gonna win, and all of a sudden Dominic's like, not this time, and just fucking wins the day, and real ultimate sacrifice, like dies for good. Baby B comes up and holds his hand. Fucking, that's when Brian kneels down and is like,
Oh.
bros till the end kind of thing, maybe, or like shows up at his funeral. I just hope, I don't know. I think they're gonna do that for the end, but I just hope the last scene of the movie isn't Dom's funeral. I just don't.
You've mentioned it now a couple times, Mike, and I hope that I'm okay with us getting deaths, but literally no more funerals. I don't give a shit about a funeral.
I
I don't
think-
want to be at a funeral in these movies ever again.
If the last shot of the last movie is not a barbecue, I will be stunned.
Good call.
It has to be
Yeah.
a barbecue. There's no way it's not a barbecue.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
it's
like even like a
or-
wake. If it's a wake, like we had the funeral and like we like get like an overhead shot of like a procession or something, and it just leads like screen wipes right to a barbecue, and then being like, it was a good run, I'm sad we lost. Like it has to be at a barbecue that they're like,
Yeah.
The alternative would be like, teaching someone to drive, or someone gear shifting, or like it's a race or something. Like there's lots of ways that could end.
well,
It's
we
not
already
gonna-
just taught Baby B to how to drive in this one.
Well, I
so.
mean, like, it's, let's go for a ride or something. You know what I mean? Like, there's lots of ways that it could end. I don't think that Dom survives the franchise, but, we'll see.
We'll see.
This episode comes out Friday. The episode that just came out of the main feed was Road to Paloma. Our next week's episode, the next one you and I are doing, is A Life in the Fast Lane, which we'll read more emails. But I do want to read some Fast 10 related emails now, because we got a lot. And I want to, get some thoughts
Please,
from
yeah.
Mike, too, as he's here.
Obviously.
So I'm skipping around a little bit, so,
we doing emails first or cards first?
Oh, Mike, yeah, open your cards. Let's open your packs.
Oh,
That's a
right,
good idea. I forgot about
cards.
the cards.
Here we go.
So now,
All
Mike,
right.
Joe and I both
They're
have
hard
a
to
couple
open. Open
duplicates.
from the bottom. It took me a while. I was using my teeth. They're like,
Oh, I think I got it. No, there's double layers.
that's what I said. Yeah, it's that's why I was giving you a hint there, bud.
Thanks,
Mike, I
Joe.
have an extra Letty and an extra Ramsey if you want to trade.
Okay. Let's see what I got.
Wait, we were trading one, right?
I'm
Mir,
trading
said
you
that's at
Han for Deckard.
These are really.
And I had another doubles too. I have another doubles too, Mike. So
Okay.
we can help you fill them in.
Well, we know that we know that triples is best.
I got the triples of the Barracuda, triples of the Nova. So these are really nice quality. All right. So first up,
You got Mike, that's the one I want the most.
okay,
Genuinely.
Mia?
Mia.
You got a Mia.
Okay.
I got Mia. Oh,
Okay.
like
I want a
this
Mia and I want a Tess.
one.
Ooh,
Jacob, brother
blank
and sister.
card,
Oh
stealing
yeah,
Brian's joke.
there's no one on there. Oh my God, this is a good pack.
You got
I
a
got
Han.
Han.
Beautiful.
Oh. Yeah, Han's a good
Oh
one.
my gosh, I got
You got a Cypher.
Cypher.
You got a
Cypher.
girl.
That's your girl, yeah?
and the newbie. I
You got
got,
a Mike, you got
and a
two of the ones
Tess.
that I want.
okay.
That he doesn't have.
I will trade you if you're willing to trade,
Trade
either
bulk.
the Mia
Trade bulk.
or the Cypher, or the Mia or the Tess.
Tess.
The Mia
or
or
the Tess.
The Mia or
I have
Tess.
extra.
Yeah, dude.
I have extra Letty, I have extra Letty, and I have extra Ramsey, and I will also throw in, if you want. I also, Mike, you know who I have? I mean, I want to keep it, but if you're unwilling to part,
Ooh.
You-
Tell me
you're
you got
doing
a
a hard
Roman.
sell.
You got a Roman?
He does have a
Roman.
Roman. Oh, that's a good trade. Now that's a good
Who do you,
trade.
wait, for both or for one of them?
well, no, I will give you
Okay.
a Letty or a Ramsey and a Roman for both of those.
Give them both your doubles and the Roman.
I'll
for
do
one.
it
Come
3 for
on.
2. I'll do it
Dude,
3 for 2.
Whatever. Yeah.
3 for 1.
Whatever it takes.
Mike,
for
family barbecue next week, and bring those cards, baby.
Here you go. They're yours.
Bring them,
I
baby.
got some bonus ones too, Mike. The ones I got doubles of, I'll
So
give you,
wait,
bud.
Joe, you didn't get a Dom though, did you? Or did you?
I don't remember. Like I said, I have them at home.
I don't think you did.
I know I had.
I think we've opened 5 on air, and I don't think we have a Dom yet.
Do you need any of these, Joe? Do you want any of those? I mean, Joe too.
I'm gonna have Han. I have a Cypher, and I have a Jacob. I think. I think I'm good. No
Because there are 14, I think, in total, and so so Joe and I are each going to have about like 8 or 9 of the
Yeah.
14.
You guys need the complete set. Like I don't need the complete set. Like to me, they're cool.
Well, I'm
Like,
happy to do my send my duplicates off to you,
Same, obviously, bud.
all right. Well,
and
I'll
I'm
bring
also
these
happy.
with.
Like I only have the one Roman, but I know you love Roman, and I really want to get that Mia and that Tess. So
Yeah, I mean, if you want the whole set, you could keep the Roman. You decide by the time I get down there what's going on. I just, we could do 1 for 1. It's all good.
we'll figure it out. No, we got time. We got nothing but time.
Nothing but
Mike.
time.
Just remember to bring them. Otherwise, we'll do an Elvis sooner or later anyway. So.
Have you talked to Brian? I know he was looking to get rid of his cards too. So.
No, I did not know that he was looking to get rid of his cards.
If he still got them, I wonder if he threw them away. No, I'm just kidding.
So here's the first email I'm going to read from Alex. This is a good question because we talked about this a little bit, Joe, in our episode. I'm going to get Mike's take on this. Subject line, Justice, from Alex Ellenin. We have an email address, family@cageclub.me, if you want to email in. I've been thinking about this since 9. What justice does Han need? Deckard didn't kill him. I mean, they're definitely even now because Deckard saved Han in 10. So, Mike, there's a whole justice for Han thing, like justice is coming, justice is
Yeah.
coming, and then nothing happened in 9. And then Louis Leterrier is like, justice is definitely going to happen in 10. And we don't know that it actually did, but like, justice for Han came about because Deckard in universe supposedly killed Han and then was invited to a barbecue because he saved Baby B. And people are like, that's not fair to the memory of Han. Han is still alive.
I don't think justice for Han actually involves Han. It's justice in the sense that the family was too accepting of Deckard Shaw, and I think the justice needs to come from them to make Shaw atone for what they did to Han. Even if Han was alive, he was never punished by them for what he did to Han. I don't think it necessarily goes. The justice isn't directed at Han; it's for Han.
Right, correct. Yeah, it's like on behalf of Han, right? So like,
Yes.
but Deckard's not in the movie enough to actually receive justice. So like, Mike, what's your whole take on Justice for Han? Because that's 2 movies in a row that I don't think we really got it, that we were sort of promised it. I also feel like by this point, like it's not going to happen. But like, thoughts on Justice for Han?
Yeah, at this point, I have a radical take on this because I'm trying to figure out, like, think outside the box. So I don't think Justice for Han is in universe as far as like for the movies, for the story. I think it's for the fans. I think Justice for Han means we're going to get him back in the movies as a character alive again because he was taken away prematurely. He became a fan favorite, and we have a way to retcon that to work. So now I'm wondering if Justice for Han is just for us. It's our
That's an interesting perspective, Mike. That and that in that case, Joey, technically in 9, from Mike's pitch, we did get Justice for Han, and the Justice for Han was that we get him back.
right. Yeah, because I'm thinking that now because you're right. He or the crew or any of the family, no one ever specific like that would be a whole movie. Or at least half a movie be like, we're getting justice for Han, like let's do it. We're going off against, we're gonna go to war against the Shaws or whatever, like that never really happens. But like, there's redemption for Shaw, right? So that's enough for me in universe to accept each other talking again, hanging out, whatever they need to do, like borrow clothes, borrow a car, hang out, that kind of thing. I never really. It's the same thing now with Cypher, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show. Do we need justice for Elena because of what Cypher did in front? But I feel like
I mean, I think to a certain extent, this movie gave Elena justice by Dom
Yes.
being so menacing to Cypher. Just like, you're not forgiven for what you did. Like, we're
And
not friends. You're here because like you have to help us, and if you don't help
Well,
us,
they learned from their previous mistake.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't have been like, okay, Cypher, you're good now, and then they'd be like, motherfucker, you keep just doing this.
salute me, Cypher.
I also think by bringing Elena's sister into the fold, that's a little more like, all right, we're trying to kind of like bring her back, but not. Like, we at least have like a part of her. This is her sister. It's not her, but like it's close enough. We can't literally bring that character back. She got her head shot in an airplane, and they probably dumped the body, 30,000 feet or whatever. But like, I'm just saying, like, they're not gonna pull a Mr. Nobody magic trick with that character. So that's my
No,
thoughts.
yeah. If Elena's not dead, it's just like, oh, so no one dies. Like, just like straight up, no one dies.
And what else is fucked up is that was The Rock's partner. So what's gonna happen when he meets Cypher, and they go face to face?
That's
Anything?
interesting. That's very interesting, Mike. That's very, very interesting.
Oh
Did
no,
not think
another
about that.
another branch.
Another email I'm going to read from Garrett Smith, fan favorite Garrett Smith.
Ooh.
What up, family? Main feed fan. Let's not push it here. Garrett Smith here. Joey had better said the full title. I did begrudgingly, and I also sort of stumbled my way through it, but whatever. I was listening. So this is not entirely about Fast 10, but I think Mike's going to appreciate this. I was listening to your spoil because he DM'd me about this, and I'm like, can you email us in? So he sent a little bit more detail via email. I was listening to your spoiler discussion of Fast 10. It reminded me of something Seth Rogen said in How Did This Get Made? Because remember, as Fast 10 came out, I mentioned on that long episode that How Did This Get Made put out an episode about the original Fast and the Furious with Seth Rogen as a guest.
Okay.
He said Seth Rogen worked with Neil Moritz, super producer of Fast and Furious, a bunch of times, and he recalled the time where Moritz slammed his fists on a table and yelled, quote, "There's logical and there's cool. Cool wins every time." He
That's
said,
a badass quote.
I think this sums up the entirety of this franchise and is the answer to almost any question, including fuzzy timelines. Apparently, 1989 is just cooler than 1999.
Hell yeah.
Good point.
I buy that. And that's a great sort of thesis statement about this entire franchise. Yeah, I buy it.
I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try that in the lab soon. Like next time somebody brings shitty results, I'll be like, "There's logical and there's cool, and cool wins every time." We go with the shitty results.
Garrett says, loved Fast 10, by the way. My partner and I had a blast. It turned out a really great charismatic villain is the one thing this franchise has been lacking, and the exact blast of Nas it needed to make the final quarter mile a win. Leterrier proved to be a worthy new steward for the franchise as well, much to my
Agreed.
surprise. Much love, Joe's Garrett.
Yeah, that's a good point about the villain. It didn't occur to me until recently that like no one really stole the spotlight before from them. It was always like someone in the family, as much as they tried. Like
Cypher should have stolen the spotlight.
Jason Statham should have, but he's just too grumpy. Like he doesn't have that. Like he's not laughing. Like Dante's like insane, so like they needed that. I like that they had that. That was good.
I'm going to read an email from a new listener, but this is someone who I think has listened to episodes of Mike's and my podcast. That's why I'm bringing it up here. But Mike, there's the person who on Letterboxd and I think on Twitter, GephC, Gephc. I think you've probably seen he's got like the dinosaur picture around.
Okay. Yep.
He says, I finished listening to the nearly 3-hour-long Fast 10 episode today. Yes, the whole
Oh.
dang thing. And I thought I'd write in to say hello. My history with the Fastverse is rather short, as before January, I'd seen none of them. I decided it was
wow.
high time I catch up before Fast 10 hit theaters, so I ordered the Blu-ray box set and committed to the adventure.
Nice.
Watching 2 a month, I saw F9 for the first time last weekend, and I took Friday off so I could see 10 in the early afternoon. No
Smart.
regrets. It's been quite a ride.
Awesome.
Geff goes on, I've been listening along with Lap 1 episodes. I first came to Cage Club through Nick Jenkins' Real Bad.
Oh.
I'm an old nerd fighter, so I know Nick from his Complexly projects, and I love a good bad movie. Has Nick been on Too Fast? You should have him on 1999 too. I'm sure there were some bad movies made that year. Anyway, I've rambled too much now, just come to say hello. Geff. Well, I've invited Nick on, and he's just like, I don't really like those movies. I'm like, got it. So, like, he could be on
Okay.
a pit stop at some point, but, like, he does not really particularly care for the Fast and Furious. I try, because, like, he's got a great voice. He's a great podcaster. He's a fun dude to talk to. And they're just like, yeah, that's not really for me. I'm just like, all right, fair, easy, cool.
Better than like forcing you to do it, right? Like,
Exactly.
I don't want anybody to do something that they don't want to do.
Lane emails in. He's got some follow-ups that we'll read on the next episode, but he says, took my 8-year-old daughter with us to see 10 today. Her first Fast and Furious. She loved it.
Wow.
Now we're watching the OG at home.
Okay.
I wonder what experience that would have been like as 1 and 8-year-old and as 2 your first Fast and the Furious. That had to be a wild ass experience. You're like, Dad, what the fuck just happened? You're like, look, it starts out a lot slower, and you're like, what did they do? And like, they're stealing DVD players. So like, okay, that kind of makes sense. And you're like, but like, what was the last one like? You're like, oh well, they've saved the world for like the past like 7 of them. So it's not like it's that much different.
Well, I will tell you that he wrote in a couple more times that I'm going to save till the next episode. It's going to be a cliffhanger. Does his daughter like the Fast and Furious or not?
Ooh, so
Oh,
on brand.
I'm
Gonna have
curious.
to tune in. Yeah, we're
Just cut it right at the
the 3 of us are at the bottom of the dam. It just blew. What's going to happen next?
plane into a fucking hillside. Yeah.
All right. We got an email from Wells Lamont with, excitingly, our first official new rankings with 10 included.
Oh my god.
Welcome back, Wells, bud. I missed you. I really did. I'm sending you a big virtual hug.
Hello, everybody. Hope you enjoyed Fast 10. Let's get it. That's the subject line. Wells is back in the fold. Whatever happened to the 6K and pink slip Hector was holding on to at the very first race? Is that how he was able to pay for the 3 T66 turbos with NOS and Emotech system exhaust?
Oh,
Maybe.
good point. He never paid out.
I like that he's writing about Fast 10 and just talking about things that are not Fast 10. It's classic Wells. Tej collects his money from the people betting on the jet ski races in Too Fast. It says something about collecting my money, and then fans out what he just collected and starts counting it, but if only like 20 or 30 bills, and most of them are ones, it's probably like $85.
That's awesome.
I absolutely loved it. Fast 10 was awesome, but I won't know how I truly feel until I hear everything you guys have to say and after I see it again on Tuesday. Momoa was great, in my opinion. Can't wait to see how Giselle didn't die. I'm going to finish this episode. I'll be back.
Nice.
Classic. The Fast and Furious to re-show us old movies with new stuff in them.
Yes, true.
I'm still waiting for Verone to come back.
We all are.
He
He's
says
out
again,
there.
1 to 5 minus 4 will always be my top 4, but this crazy ass movie jumped up to 5. I'll know for sure if it's before or after 6, but it's def before the rest. Here we go. As of 10:51 p.m. Saturday night, I just smoked 2 bowls from bottom to favorite. And this has changed. I didn't rate Hobbs and Shaw. It's a spin-off. We have 10 movies now. So here is Wells's official rankings. The first true on-air, like Joe, you and I ballparked like where these are, but like
Yeah.
we haven't really done an official real ranking.
No. I need to watch it a couple
Yeah.
more times. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to worry about it officially until the end of lap 15. I'll give an official ranking at the end of the next lap, right? The end of 13, but we still got
I think I'll slot it. I'll slot it at
Okay.
the end of the next lap. Yeah.
So Wells originally had ranked Hobbs and Shaw as 8, but starting at the bottom now, he's got Furious 7 in last place, which is where it was. And then right above that, he has 8F. Oh, yeah, he does all the Fs. So he's got 7F, 7F in last. He's got 8F, 8F in ninth, which fell a couple. He's got 9F, 9F in 8th, which fell all the way from 3 for him down to 8.
Okay.
He's got 4F, 4F in 7, which climbed a couple spots. He's got 6F, 6F in 6th, which is where it was. He's got 1F, and 5, which is where... Or no, he's got XF, XFL. Do you think that's why
Oh,
he's like...
The Rock's back for that. But also now you can just run the fucking Fast and Furious commercials in the XFL. You can just run XFL promo in the whatever.
So he's got XF, XF at 5, 1F at 4, 2F at 3, 5F at 2, and surprisingly, change of pace, 3F at
3F.
1.
It's one of those days.
He said Fast 5 is the best, but 3 is just the ultimate. To think I used to hate 3 prior to 6.
Nice.
We all grow up sometimes.
Exactly.
J-Mo was such a good bad guy, Momoa. He was Joker from The Dark Knight. Rest in peace, Heath Ledger, and then put the finger, point to the sky. Okay, I'm going to end it here and listen to the last 2 hours and 19 minutes of this episode. P.S. Miss my bros. Glad to hear your voices again. Hope all's well and hope everyone's healthy and thriving. I couldn't wait to listen to this episode. I've been trying to come back earlier, but I've been busy and crazy shit happening.
Be busy, dude. It's okay. I hope you're thriving too. I hope that you're just collecting bags. You're like Tyrese right now. You opened your jacket. You're stacked with stacks on stacks, and that's why you haven't been listening.
He
It's
said,
okay.
I moved and it was the worst experience ever. Nothing major, just stressful. I lost my phone and all my notes I had for you guys from months ago. That bummed me out. Until next time, my dudes. Peace, anus. You anus piecers. Well, thank you, Wells.
Nice.
And I'm going to read one more. Let's see here. I'm going to pick one more to do. I'm going to read Emily C's. Emily has written in before. She also sends in a car picture in this email that we'll save for the
Awesome.
future.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I think Jerry has also sent in 2 car pictures, so we've got those as well.
Fuck
Emily
yeah.
says, Fast 10 thoughts and a possible car pick. Hi, guys. I just got back from seeing Fast 10, and wow, quite the ride. I have a few spoilery thoughts, and then a completely unrelated possible car pick. I have not listened to your episode yet, so I'm not sure you talked about some, if not all of these things. First off, when I saw the sub at the end, my thought process was, wait, I thought the sub blew up at the end of 8. Oh, wait, is that Mia? That can't be Mia. OMG, it's Gal. I had the biggest grin on my face, and it made me so happy. Of course, when the stinger happened and fucking Hobbs was back, well,
Yeah.
as if I needed another reason to be excited for the next one. Mike, we did not do this. It's maybe not fair to ask you, but are you more excited that Gal is back or that Dwayne is back?
I think that Gal is back because Hobbs got his own movie and all that kind of, he's been around. We haven't seen enough of Gal Gadot. She's only been in 3 movies, right? And one of them, even part 4, she wasn't really in like a ton, right? And she was weird in that. She was like in love with Dom, and it was just like not connecting yet. It wasn't until 5 I feel that she was like in it, So 5 and 6 to me is like the real her, and now like that she's back, like awesome.
I'm very glad that Gal is back, but I think to me, I'm way more hyped that The Rock's back because I think that's more powerful and influential and more story driven. Like Gal died,
Yeah.
so like we can accept that she died. I personally want her to come back into the fold because we love Gal, we love the character of Giselle, and you're right, she doesn't get a lot of screen time when she was there, so that feels justified. But The Rock coming back is like, we fucking needed him. There's no way that you finish this without him.
Right.
So for me, I'm more excited that The Rock is back just for what it means generally.
All right, yeah, I hear that. I'm also excited that The Rock is back, but like,
Yeah, it's totally subjective. Yeah, there's no correct answer to this. It's just personal
I
preference.
also do like that before 9, we were like, we really want a Han and Giselle trilogy spinoff in between 5 and 6. And now they're both back from the dead. We can just have modern day trilogy. You know what I mean? Just like,
Yeah.
good point. Yeah, you should do that. Spin them off.
Emily says, now that that's out of the way, I liked how they started with a flashback to 5. Not only was it a good reminder for fans, but it was also a good way to introduce the backstory to people who might be newer to the franchise. Also, I wondered who the guy in the blue suit was. I honestly kind of thought it was Mr. Nobody, to go with your Mr. Nobody's evil thought, but it being Ames definitely made sense.
Oh yeah, I was just like, that's just an extra.
A guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
never
had no
occurred.
idea who that was.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Mike. The thing I was talking about this with Joey, that like I look for a lot of stuff in the background just because how my mind works and the minute thing. The direct story, I just let it just like bathe over me. I'm never trying to figure out what the fuck they're doing in Fast and the Furious. Like I'm never like looking at this being like, oh yeah, like that guy's gonna be a twist or something. It's just like, nope, what happens happens.
Do you think that blue suit is agency issued? Because it's the same blue that Tess is wearing.
Was he in the agency way back then? I thought the idea was that he was going to like infiltrate the
Oh,
agency.
but he ascends so far in
That's a
10
good
years.
point, Mike.
I don't know.
But dude, a decade is a long time, and like he's still not at the tippy top. He's like at this agency needs to be a little more well defined, if you ask me. It's just the agency.
I do feel like that they are going to be the big bad. I think that we're going to be facing these next 1 or 2 movies, I think.
It would be cool if it was turned out that they were just using everybody to get God's eye, to do this, to get the world into a certain position so that they could then like take over and like eliminate everybody at once or something. So like, you know, I'm not saying I want to see this and I don't think that it's going to happen, but it would be to the point of like Dante changing sides in the end to save the world, but he would never care about that. Like, I think he's going out.
There's no way Dante joins the family. I don't think.
No,
at
there
this
isn't,
point.
yeah.
I think that he has to die. He has no family, so they're leading you to believe. I think they're doing a double take that like he has no family, so like it would make sense that maybe he does join the family and realizes what family means, all these things. But at in the same time, like he could just die or just be evil.
Yeah.
Like, and that's also fine.
I will say, speaking of Dante, she says her next paragraph, I'm not 100% sure how I felt about him. On the one hand, Jason Momoa was having a great time chewing the scenery and terrorizing the team. On the other hand, was it too much? I don't know. I do know I didn't really like the scene where Dante was just chatting with the dead guys. It took me out of the movie because it didn't really feel like it fit the tone, but that could just be me.
I love that scene. That scene was horrific. And that was the scene to me where I was like, okay, like he is completely unhinged. Like he's super dangerous. You know, he's not kidding. You know what I mean? Like at first I just thought like he was this hyperactive, super jovial, mischievous criminal kind of guy. Even though we did see him try to blow up the Vatican and all that, like he's going to hell, of course. But like at that point, you're like, oh no, like he's having conversations with dead people. Like, you know, like he is completely just like talking to dead, like he's insane. So like I think that I like that scene because it pushes that character over the edge for me.
Apparently that was a scene that was like very polarizing for audiences. They're like, this is maybe gonna be like a deleted scene. Maybe this is gonna be in the movie. Like this is also in the same Hollywood Reporter interview. And they showed it to like audiences and like someone crazy for it. Some were just like, I don't know. And then they showed it to the producer at Universal and she's like, I love this. We're gonna keep it in.
Oh,
and
good
so,
for her.
because that was one that I think Liam, right, sent us show that like it was rated for like, there was like a grisly image or something.
Gore or something. Grizzly
like one scene
terrifying,
of grisly whatever, right? And it's just like, oh, it's the one scene. Like we know exactly what it is, and like I think it's definitely darker. We talked about this a little bit in in the last episode, but like it's darker than the franchise has ever gone. But like it also like cements like what this guy is, right? Like who and what this guy is.
It had to go somewhere else, you know, it had to take it up a notch somehow, some way. And you can't do that with an explosion or like bombing the Vatican. Like, even though the bomb was big, and so we've seen that kind of stuff. Like, we need to get into the mind of the villain more. And since he's such a good villain, like, this is a great way to justify a lot of his actions. So that's another reason I liked it. It's just like more character development for him.
She says, I'm really curious how 11 is going to start because 10 ended on such a cliffhanger. Dom and Little D are in imminent danger. Letty and Cypher in Antarctica. Jacob is dead, although, you know, who knows, maybe. The Shaws are somewhere, and who knows what happened to Ramsey, Tej, Han, and Roman. I feel like there wouldn't be more major character deaths unless it was Dom, but who knows? I guess we'll just find out. Now, for the completely unrelated stuff, a little while back, oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. This is the car picture. So we're going to save that for a car picture. But Emily...
I had a quick question. Let me know when I can ask.
She just says, time to go listen to spoiler-filled app. Can't wait to hear what you guys think. Emily. Well, thank you, Emily. I appreciate it. That was a good email.
Thank you for writing in, Emily.
Quick question here. Is the next one written, or are we under the writer's strike clock with this?
Oh, good point. I don't think it's completely written, but I think that Vin and Leterrier and everybody else kind of has a rough idea of what they're doing next if you stop here.
Do you think that they would start it before the strike ends, like with an outline? Is that like, or my question is like, are we going to have to wait longer now, do you think?
Well, we're already waiting 2 years, and I think that like what a lot of productions are doing, like productions that are in production are shutting down, but I think that they could possibly like map things out, even if they're not like crossing the picket line, if they want to respect the
like
strike.
vision board
Right,
general
right.
overview outline type situation without filling in the details.
They can like location scout, they can prep stunts and stuff like that. Like they can have ideas. I think it would be a lot better for us if they had shot these movies back to back and they were like in post production on the movie, but like the fact that we're waiting 2 years, who knows? That's all the emails I'm gonna read for today. We
right.
got more
It's a
that
good
we're gonna
bag.
read on we got a bunch more that we're gonna read on the next episode, but I just want to get some of those in. I also want to give an update in terms of the box office.
Okay.
It only made, quote unquote, like 67.5 million domestically, it was projected for 65 to 75, so like it barely squeaked in there. But
Okay.
it made 319 million
Wow.
as of yesterday worldwide. So
Wow.
the budget, if you'll remember, was 340, and it cost another
340,
100
yeah.
million to produce or to promote.
Whoa.
So like it still has a ways to go before it makes up that money and starts making a profit. But like it did exceptionally well in China. It made $78 million in China.
Whoa.
It made $7 million in Japan, where it's known as Wild Speed Fire Boost.
It's a great
Yes.
name. That's a great
Amazing.
title. Very, very good.
And it was the second biggest opening weekend worldwide of the year behind Super Mario Brothers. So like even
Wow.
though like Larson texted me saying that his theater, like more people were still seeing Guardians in weekend number 3 than they were seeing Fast 10. But like it seems like the rest of the world is going to carry this movie because like
Yeah.
Marvel movies are big, Mario was big, but like this is like they choose to make this global in a way that like
Yeah, it's now this franchise is custom tailored to the global audience, whereas like in Super Mario Brothers too, to a degree, I feel like more Japan and America for that, just because of the Nintendo history there. But Guardians will fizzle out, and this will take its place. Like Guardians will be around another week, and then it'll probably be on demand. So like everyone will kind of shift over to this, or like everyone will have seen Guardians. But like it's amazing how since like the pandemic and we're back from that and movies are back out, how they have been like, oh, if it makes $65 million, like that's amazing. Like we have so quickly shifted expectations, not us, but like the studios to be like, oh, like we're gonna be fine. You know, we don't need to make 100 million the first weekend. We've realized if we make 65, we're good to go. And they kind of like squashed that worldwide. I think that's like a very interesting kind of like development, especially since this movie was delayed a fucking year, right? This was supposed to come out last year, and then there was like an uptick or something happened, and a bunch of movies got like delayed again, like John Wick 4, this movie. It cost 400 million or whatever, but if we make 65, like we're good.
yeah, I mean it's gonna make $1 billion. It's
I
gonna be
also
fine.
think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
this movie is a rare case where it's going to benefit from spoilers. If everybody knows that Gal and The Rock are back at the end, people that really don't care, like aren't super, super invested and upset by the spoilers, are going to go see the movie to be like, there's no fucking way that they bring Gal and The Rock back. How did they do it? And although they don't explain it, just the news of it happening is going to draw more people in. I wouldn't be surprised if like next weekend when Guardians kind of tapers down and the news gets out of what happened, that next weekend is a really big weekend domestically too.
And I feel like word of mouth about this one was way better than Part 9. Like, Part 9 was cool and John Cena and everything, but like, I feel like all of the reviews of this one are like, it's fucking nuts. Like, it's insane. Like, I can't believe like where they're going with the franchise and like the fucking balls of what they're trying to do and like the cliffhanger and this and that. Like, it just feels like there's so
And
much.
Momoa,
Like,
everybody being so hyped, being
And
like Momoa's
Momoa.
great in this. If you like Momoa, yes.
like there just feels to be much more enthusiasm about it now. I feel like word of mouth about how like you gotta see this, like not just as a Fast and Furious movie, but like if you love action movies and you want to see like some crazy shit and have a fun time in the summer, and like really like I was sitting there going like I am getting my money's worth for this IMAX ticket. Like I did not feel that way after the last like couple Marvel movies, if I'm being quite honest, that like I was, I'm one that would go around being like, tell strangers like, hey, like, go see this fucking movie. It's like, it's insane.
The other thing to keep in mind is that not only are they bringing actors back to make the fans happy, but like getting The Rock getting Gal Gadot in the movie in any way is going to get so many more people, like, not only to see this movie, but to see the next movie. Like,
Yeah.
I agree that was what I was alluding to before. Yep.
I think that's all for today. We're going to do, so this whole, like, for the next, like, month or so, we're going to do bonus episodes, main feed episodes every Friday as we work through all of our different guests who have watched all these movies with us. So we got Heather Antos, we got Nico and Kevo, we've got Montez, we've got, hopefully, Kara, if she can get to the theater, or if it's going to be on VOD, because it'll probably be on VOD in, like, a month and a half or two. So even if Kara doesn't see it in theaters, we'll get it too soon with her. But we got lots of ideas, lots of episodes coming at you. Our next episode, like we were saying, if you're new to the show and you've listened this far, our next episode is A Life in the Fast Lane, where it's Joe and I do 1 minute of we're working through the movies. We're doing Too Fast, Too Furious. We're at minute 87. We used to do one of those every episode.
Wow.
Now we just do one every 3 weeks. We're at minute 87 of the second movie. We also just talk about like what we've been up to, and we'll talk about a lot of Fast 10 news and emails, and we read emails there. Again, family@cageclub.me. Then another bonus episode of Fast 10 next Friday. And then we're kicking off the next lap. And we're starting the cycle over again. And we're doing the original, The Fast and the Furious. And we're going to intercut that cycle, that lap, with movies that are planes, trains, but no automobiles. Movies where there's either a major vehicle or a chase with a vehicle that is not a car. Anything other than a car. So we got a very, very exciting, very super fun movie coming up first with a great guest that, Mike, I think you're going to find very funny. I will tell you after we're done here. I don't want to spoil that.
I got a question though.
Mm-hmm.
This is this, wait, say the lap is planes,
trains, but
and
no
not
automobiles.
Okay, so I'm on the train episode.
There are multiple train movies we're doing,
Yeah.
but you are on a train episode for sure.
I am so looking forward to seeing this movie for the first time. I cannot tell you, I'm so psyched for this.
I
So-
will also say this is not an email that we really got for the show, but I sent, as we did Out Now with Aaron and Abe the other night, I sent Aaron a list of the movies. I'm like, are you on one for next lap? And he said, no, just send me the list. And he said, and I will quote, this is a treasure trove of great options. So, you know, when someone like Aaron, who loves movies the way he does, loves our upcoming movies, we're in for a good lap.
I'd also like to say I tried to contribute to the list. That one time you sent me,
You sent us good things. The fact that you responded at all was a step in the right direction for you, Mr. Mike Manzi.
You're welcome.
I also do want to shout out our patrons at toofast2forever.com if you want early access to episodes, lots of bonus episodes, stickers
Lots
in the
of
mail,
bonus episodes. There's
all
like
sorts of
40
stuff.
now.
Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellen, and Justin Kleiman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, Wes Hampton, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden Renato, Di Donato, Michael McGann, Lane Middleton, Lindsay Lewandowski, Nate Milton of the Kings of Sport, Jason Rainey, Tom Price, Mike Gallier, Josh Buckley of Whole Lot of Wolves, Michael Moser, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. Ooh, Mike even joined in there.
Yeah, he knew.
But, Joe,
What?
phone call coming in.
What is it?
Answer the phone. Someone back in the family. Meet new $10 patron once again joining the family, Mr. Christian Larson.
Whoa.
Welcome
in
back,
the
Christian
fold.
Larson.
Welcome back, Mr. Christian Larson. Shout out to him. He is the Hobbs of the family.
He is.
Coming
He
in on
is.
the extra credit scene.
He is back. He is back. He is back. He gave us a great movie pick for the next lap.
Awesome.
Very
Yeah, he
exciting.
probably has a really good pick. I really trust Larson's pick, especially if it's like plane, trains, and not automobile. I'm sure he has a good deep cut ready.
And also
for
knowing
us.
what Lap 14's theme was, which we have not publicly announced. We've announced on the Patreon because it was the one sponsored by Josh and Michael. But he's like, that's a great theme too. So he's going to have a good one for that too, I'm sure.
A
You know what I
really
mean? So-
fucking good one for that lap. Yeah.
I would love to hear Larson's take on Fast and Furious, snobs versus slobs. Which side is which?
Very
So-
interesting idea.
We'll get there, I hope.
But shout out to them. Go to toofast2forever.com. But Mike, any final thoughts about Fast 10? You'll be on again later this lap for a train episode.
That's
and
a
maybe
good
again for
hint.
something else. We'll figure it out. But any other final thoughts before we close up shop today?
Oh man, so many, but like I feel like I got almost every one of them out.
Cool.
I can't wait to see it again. I mean, this is bumped. I'll just say I don't have my like full list or anything, but I like this more than 8 and 9. Like, I'm just sitting there in the theater going like, fuck yeah! Like, this is just like whatever we want to do, we're gonna do it. And like, there's such good energy. I like Leterrier behind the wheel. I like, his previous flicks. He did a Hulk movie. How can I not love this guy? Yeah, I'm just really pumped about how they ended this,
Hmm.
how it's a true cliffhanger. You got to see the next one. All this anticipation, like when the next one comes out, like it's gonna be insane. Like we're gonna have a party. Like it's gonna be. I showed up at the screening, wishing everyone a happy holiday, and I wasn't lying because I feel like when a
It
new
was
movie,
Christmas, bud.
yeah, when a new one of these comes out and we get together, like I treat it like a holiday. It's so much fun, and I love it, and I can't wait till the next one.
Very, very cool. Well, thank you once again, Mike. And for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/Too Fast, Too Forever, or at Too Fast, Too Forever on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Got a bunch of episodes coming up that we can read emails on, especially about Fast 10. Check out our Patreon page at toofast2forever.com and our store at cageclub.me/shop. And come back on Tuesday for Life in the Fast Lane number 12, and next Friday for Fast 10 Third Gear with Heather Antos. I'm Joey Lewandowski,
I'm Joe too.
And I'm Mike Manzi.
and we will tell you all about it
When we see you